So Ziggy and I sort of have a little problem going on right here, and it's because we're not supposed to be reacting to these games. We actually kind of made a hard limit and said after the first week we're really going to try and not do the night games to try, to take care of ourselves, not go too.
Well, we don't want there to be an expectation of, every time there's a night game, the guys on the Paul Farrington show are going to put something out.
Exactly. We try and set the bar low. We try and keep ourselves healthy. Individuals can sleep, and then then there's a great game like this where Kirk Cousins absolutely shreds the Philadelphia Eagles on the final drive of the game, rips out the hearts of Philly fans, which is something, if Kirk could give me really one farewell. Oh, look at this again. I'm wearing a Kirk Cousins shirt today. I'm wearing a Kirk Cousins shirt. And all of a sudden I find myself, 11:25, 11:30. I'm just pacing around my house going, oh my God, I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. And I shoot Ziggy a text. Next thing you know, we're hopping on here at 11:45 on a Monday.
Well, if you're watching this, I think this will probably be out before our full episode. There was some controversy over the Eagles not making our joint top 10 power rankings. And what did we say? We said if the Eagles find a way to blow this, that ranking, even though it's going to be released tomorrow, so nobody will give us any credit for this, we'll say that ranking is going to look pretty good. And what do you know? Saquon Barkley, all he had to do was catch that pass, and the game is 100% over. Gutsy play call, it worked out, but he dropped it. And once that happened, I just knew. Most people who aren't Vikings fans or Commanders fans from back in the day, they don't know that the primetime Kirk thing is a myth. When Kirk Cousins is ready to play, when he's fired up, when he's in the zone, he's as good a quarterback as they come in the NFL. I just knew they were going down that field and scoring.
This felt like not only a statement win for the Falcons, but a statement win for Kirk Cousins. After the game, you listened to him in the interview, and they said, Kirk, you've been hearing a lot of noise this week. And Kirk Cousins, usually reserved guy, he's like, yeah, I have. Like, you could hear a little fire behind that answer there. That he's been seeing all the reports coming out, people talking about playing Michael Penix over him until he's healthy.
Like the Paul Farrington show.
Like you, yes. The last week against Pittsburgh, you mentioned no play action. That's a big part of Kirk Cousins' game. They mentioned it off the top of the broadcast tonight. You didn't see it against the Steelers. And I really liked what Atlanta did early in this game. The very first drive, they had him line up under center, hand off to Bijan. They were saying they didn't really do that against the Steelers either. A lot of shotgun plays, afraid to let Kirk kind of power off his Achilles there. But they lined up under center, hands off to Bijan, play action passes. They kind of showed early, okay, Kirk is okay. And he was moving well throughout most of the game. So I thought for him personally, this was a great win. That final drive was just awesome. That's prime Kirk Cousins.
I'm just puzzled at why they didn't do this in week one. If Kirk Cousins is healthy enough, this is obviously what they should have been doing, right? And you saw, right, the play action was hugely effective. They got a great run game going. Bijan Robinson had more yards in the first half than he had all of last week. They got a bunch of different people involved, right? Whether it's Kyle Pitts or Drake London, like everything worked. They were taking plays under center. I don't know exactly what the plan for the Falcons was last week, but this week they showed they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it made no sense when they were saying that was the game plan against the Steelers. Okay, let's take away some of the things our quarterback does best from his arsenal. Just a weird decision. It makes you wonder, was he really 100% for that game?
But if he wasn't 100%, a week on like this 9-month Achilles injury isn't going to change it.
That's why it makes no sense. But I'm glad that Kirk looked good tonight, and then you got to see at the end of the game there that arm is still as live as ever. He was perfect on that final drive, going down the field almost too quickly. I actually thought that the Eagles had too much time on the clock with the timeouts they had to go and get a Jake Elliott game-winning field goal.
Yeah, was it Kyle Pitts who had an opportunity to go out of bounds or to stay in bounds and
Mooney.
go down and end up going out instead?
No,
it was Mooney.
No, Drake London. Darnell Mooney didn't go out of bounds early, and then Drake London went out of bounds a little later.
Yeah, but those aren't the kinds of things you think about, right? Here's what you think about: winning the game, scoring a touchdown. And they clearly had a plan. When you're watching the Manning cast, they said this, and I think it speaks well. Like, sometimes the 2-minute drill as a quarterback is actually the easiest time to play because you're running the plays, you know what you're doing. The receivers know what you're doing. You got the defense on their heels, and you're just playing football.
Well, and the Eagles are out there and prevent, and I hate prevent defenses. It's a lot of times you see these quarterbacks are too good. They'll just pick you apart. And they just weren't getting after Kirk. He marched right down the field. It puzzles me sometimes. The Vikings did that against the 49ers. It just let team go right down, and then you're relying on your red zone defense. But Kirk, this is why you go get a guy like Kirk Cousins, because Marcus Mariota's not doing that. Desmond Ritter's not doing that. Whoever
Michael Penix isn't doing that.
Yeah, Michael Penix
rookie,
isn't.
right?
Taylor Heineke's not. Whoever you've had in Atlanta is not taking you on that game-winning drive in that building with those fans. That is a prime Kirk Cousins moment that you saw. That's the statement of, okay, I'm an Atlanta Falcon and we're here to win the NFC South and try and go a whole lot further than that. And with the way that the Bucs looked, with the way that the Saints have looked, this was a really, really big win for Atlanta, who has Kansas City next week. It doesn't get any easier for the Falcons. You needed to get this win tonight, and they got a little lucky. Saquon dropped the ball, but when push came to shove and all the chips were on the table, Kirk Cousins made the throws that he had to win the game. And I'm really, really happy for Kirk.
This, I think, more than just being, you said it's a big game for Kirk Cousins. I actually think it's an even bigger game for the Falcons. What's the story of this franchise been since they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl? It's you get off to a great start, you're doing well, and then you blow it in some heartbreaking fashion, right? Falcons fans would have been on the other side of this. It would have been a pass to Bijan that slipped through his hands and would have sealed the game. And Jalen Hurts marches down, scores, game over. The fact that they've purged that energy, that now it's the Falcons where your quarterback has the ball with under 2 minutes left, you're going to go down and score, and your defense can just barely hold and get the job done. That's what you're looking for. And if you thought that this division was over, that it was just going to be the Saints and the Buccaneers fighting it out, this would be a 3-team race. And I think this might end up being, despite the Panthers being putrid, the most competitive division in football.
It very well might be. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel at the Paul Farrington Show. We are a little bit over 12,000 subscribers right now. We appreciate everyone who's been listening. So again, please like, comment, subscribe. On the Eagles side of things, this is one that just got away from you. To have a drive, hold on, I want to get the exact numbers on that Philadelphia drive they had. They have this ability, Philadelphia, to go on these back-breaking, soul-crushing drives. 17 plays, 70 yards, 9 minutes, 34 seconds on their touchdown drive, plus the 2-point conversion to take the lead and really put some pressure on Atlanta. And they did it against Green Bay too. They had the drive that essentially won the game against the Packers, where this offense can either look completely unstoppable or a little bit out of sorts at times. And I'm not, Philadelphia should have won this football game. Saquon catches that ball 99 out of 100 times and they win. But today he didn't, and the defense couldn't save him at the end there. So I'm not worried about the Philly at all in the grand scheme of things. I do think that there are some things that they need to work out. Getting A.J. Brown will fix a lot. A lot of went wrong for the offense tonight. He's one of those top 5 receivers in football. But Philadelphia, man, when they get going, I really don't think many teams in the league can stop that offense when they're clicking. But just not their night. Just a couple unlucky breaks.
Yeah, I mean, this offense certainly looks better than it did last year. So that's a positive. But once again, I mean, it felt like the Eagles were lucky to get out of Brazil with a win. And some of those miscues caught up with them, right? The Jalen Hurts interception was painful. The fact that things weren't always perfectly executed. Some of the baffling coaching decisions, right? The fact that you have the ball inside 2 minutes at the 17, the Falcons can only stop the clock twice. They burn one timeout and they get the ball back with like 1:40 left. Just crazy stuff.
So if you were Nick Sirianni there on that 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3, whatever it was, you're running right up the middle. I'm
running twice.
Yep, running twice.
They
couldn't stop it. I mean, they couldn't stop it on that drive.
Yeah, going from 3 to 6 is not as big a deal as people think. If you can make it to overtime, I think the Eagles are probably the better team. They still have a decent chance of winning. But if you get a first down there, it's a game over. And yeah, you only need to gain 2 yards, right? The Falcons' defensive line is not the Buccaneers. They can't stop the tush push.
You could probably tush push twice if you wanted to.
Yeah, there are so many ways to go there. The fact that they let the Falcons get away with that is criminal. And you can't be making decisions like that as an NFL head coach. I know there are some times that you and I disagree on what coaches should be doing, but surely that was a situation where everyone knew you should not pass the ball for the rest of the game. Just keep it on the ground. Let Saquon do what he does best. You've got two of the biggest quads in the entire NFL in your backfield. Just let it ride.
There's probably a large majority of people that will come out and say, hey, you know what? Saquon had the ball in his hands to win the game. Like, how is it the wrong play call? And the reason it's the wrong play call is because he dropped the ball.
Yeah, there's a risk.
Yeah, there's
right?
a risk associated with it, and that's how you get burned. Even if you run it and get stopped and kick the field goal, now you're talking about a minute for Atlanta to get down the field and score a touchdown. Things might be a little different in that situation. Overall, though, I think Jalen Hurts actually has looked pretty good to open this year, despite like after the start he had against Green Bay with the fumbles, the interception, from like that second half on, I think he's been very good and he's extending plays. He's running well, had 85 yards tonight and a touchdown. I'm not ready to say that he's completely over the second half collapse of last year, but I'd be feeling pretty good about him if I were an Eagle fan. And that is the most important player on that team to feel comfortable about. So with Barkley, with Hurts playing well, I think the Eagles have a lot of happier days ahead. And right now, to me, they are the best team in the NFC East. So not too many concerns, just a crappy loss given the situation.
No, everybody's going to come out and say Jalen Hurts is 2-7 in his last 9 starts. It's time to panic. We couldn't throw them in the panic meter segment. If we were throwing them in, I would have put them in at like a 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're fine.
I don't think there's a lot of concern for this team here, but I think you do have to worry about when Jalen Hurts was at his best, 2022. He had 9 turnovers. Since the start of 2023, he has 24 in 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
So the turnovers are starting to become a problem. And I'm optimistic that as time goes on, Saquon Barkley is a transformative player for this team. He's going to make things.
And that's got to hurt the Giants so much watching that.
Oh, yeah. If you would just handed the ball to Saquon there, you almost certainly win the game. Right? The team, he is a monster, and he's been incredibly effective. Better, I think, than even some of the more bullish Saquon supporters believed. Losing this hurts, though. And I
love it.
What they need to do is stop that from spiraling because they've got a really important game, right? They go to New Orleans next week, and we've seen playing in the Superdome is hard. This Saints team is hot. And they are going to have to play better than they played against the Falcons if they want to win that.
Hey, you won't find many people who dislike the Eagles more than me. So I was all for the heartbreak tonight. This felt really, really good watching Kirk, especially watching Kirk go down the field and just crush Eagles fans. That was awesome. So a fun Monday Night Football game. Ziggy, thanks for hopping on. We go for like 10, 15 minutes here on a Monday night. Can't complain about that. So a 22-21 win for the Falcons. Thanks again for listening. We have a lot coming out tomorrow. We have the week 2 recap, like big recap, and then around the NFC North as well. So a lot of content coming out from the Paul Farrington Show right now. A lot of Robert Ziggy Ziegler.
So sometimes after these late night shows, we do a little segment at the end, just sort of you and me talking, give the fans some behind the scenes. I will tell you what, Paul, I picked the wrong year to get out of NFL Survivor pools. I was thinking, I don't do a lot of sports gambling, but I thought this is a little close. I don't want to get too invested in it. But my dad's in a Survivor pool, right? There's a few people in it. They pay like a $20 buy-in. I think the pool is like $400 or something. So substantial. And, there were a ton of traps this year in Survivor, right? Whether it was the Bengals week 1, there was like the Ravens this week, the Eagles. And I didn't do any of that. My strategy was pick whoever's playing the Panthers. So I told him, all right, week 1, you're picking the Saints. He texts me like 2 minutes into the game. All right, nice pick. We're going to win this. They were up like 21-0.
Ugly.
Then he's in Fiji this week. So it's like, all right, you need a pick really quick. Just take the Chargers. They're playing the Panthers. I'm sure they'll do fine. Again, Chargers get off to a massive lead early. He can just sit back drinking out of a coconut or like whatever it is you do in Fiji. If I'd entered a pool of those picks, would have been good because there are like 20 or 30 people in his pool and he's one of only 2 left. I mean, so many people fell for the trap and I just didn't. I thought, Jack got to me. I'm like, surely Bryce Young and the Panthers are not going to be good. I'm more confident in 31 NFL teams than them. I'm going to take that.
You have a problem when you start turning to Jack's advice, but
what did we say during like our episodes this week, right? Jack is just, he's a genius.
He's a lunatic.
He somehow
but
knows
he's right.
What's going on.
I don't know.
He was the one calling the Falcons need to do an offsides penalty when they like right before they did that Like the man would be a better coach than Nick Sirianni. You know, I'm curious what you think about this. If you're the one giving advice for a survivor pool and it does well, you know, I didn't have any financial stake in it, right? But do you think I deserve at least a little cut?
Little cut, 100%, yes. A little cut.
100% might be a bit of a big cut, though. I'd be willing to take that.
Yeah, well, 100% would be wonderful. I think you deserve at least, you know, I do 25% at least, probably. If you're giving
I mean, I guarantee you, if you were just Googling like what are my survivor pool picks, it would have given you the Bengals week 1 and the Ravens week 2.
Yes, those are the biggest odds, right?
Yeah, and it's, you know, you're in a small pool, you take the favorites. That's what you do. It's my patented pick whoever's playing the Panthers strategy. Eventually, that's going to run out. But
at some point, it should. But you know,
this Panthers team isn't going 0-17. It's been a long time since we've seen a team do that.
You roll with it now. All right, there's a reaction. There's a, you know, Ziggy strategy for anyone left in their survivor pools. You can follow that. 22-21.
Who are the Panthers playing next week?
Who is it?
Oh, they're going to Oakland. They're going to Vegas. They're playing the Raiders. Honestly, I feel now that they've got Andy Dalton back there, I feel like that's winnable.
It feels winnable as well. But Vegas looked good. Vegas looked good against Baltimore.
I'll stop this now. We got to get to sleep, man.
All right. We'll see you later. Thanks for listening.